Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gene Edwards. This is my good buddy Sam Jackson. This is episode 2 of NHL Aftermath with Gene Edwards and Sam Jackson, as I just mentioned. This episode we're going to name musical chairs because there's been a lot of GM movement that has happened this week, but we're also going to talk about last night's game a little bit. Some various topics that's going on in Columbus, and Bettman being hell or high water on keeping the team in Arizona. So without further ado, Sammy, what are you up to? What have you been up to this week?
Just working lots. Ended the job that I had been working at, so getting out of retail and moved into what I'd say is more of a big boy, actual lifetime career, being a financial advisor. So I am very excited for that. And like you and I were talking before this, just excited to get out of retail, out of the retail market. So do something a little different with my working career. So.
Oh, 22 years of retail, 2 years with one outfit, 20 years with another outfit. Not going to mention the names, and I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it. I was not very happy. And the problem is you get to a point where you're like, you're at a point of being content, and you just like, you don't think you can, like, I lost belief in myself that I could do other things until I tried it. You know what I mean? That's the sad thing, is when you lose belief in yourself. So guys out there, if you feel like you're stuck somewhere, don't lose belief in yourself. There's lots of stuff that you can do. You just have to apply yourself.
Yep.
And go with it at that point in time. Okay, Sammy. Oops, wrong one. Okay. Let's talk about last night's game. Now, you were supposed to go to a wedding reception and chase all those nice, lovely bridesmaids around. But apparently you worked a little bit late last night and you ended up not going, so you were able to watch the game. What was your take on it?
Honestly, watching that, Florida seemed a little outmatched against Vegas as the game went on. Like, first period is very even, second period is very even. But third period, I don't know if it was just, momentum swing or whatever, and Vegas got a little bit of momentum and just went crazy in that third period, but they seemed a little, I don't know, they seemed like a much better team yesterday anyway. They seemed like a much better team. And it also helps the way Aiden Hill has played, especially last night. Aiden Hill was ridiculous last night.
They're comparing that one save with the paddle to Braden Holtby's the save.
Yeah, in the same building at the same end of the ice. They were saying so.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. I never knew that. I never knew. Wow, that's
that's something I read last night. That's something I read last night. It was in the same building for sure, but I think they said same end of the ice as well. Like, just crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Vegas, yeah.
It would have been the same period. It would have been the same period too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been the same period because they're the away team. They always play in that certain thing, right?
Yeah.
So if it was on that same end of the ice, it would be in the same period too.
Yeah. It was a good game. It was a really good game, really entertaining. It got really chippy really quickly, which impressed me, and I don't know, maybe happy because I like old fashioned chippy hockey, but yeah, I don't know, good game overall for sure.
I liked it. I was disappointed by the outcome because I'm an Oilers fan, Sammy.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys took out the Oilers, and I still am bitter at Pietrangelo for his axe hack on Draisaitl. So I really and the other thing is I don't want to see Eichel get the cup before McDavid.
Yeah.
That to me is a sin. So we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, I think overall it was okay. I think goalie Bob was a little off too. I think that
Yeah.
rest hurted him a little bit.
Yeah.
But whatever. Okay, Sammy. So that being said, and what we have seen so far, who are your Conn Smyth candidates? Give me for both teams right now. If you were the one selecting the Conn Smythe Trophy, who would you be giving it to for both teams?
For Florida, I don't see how you wouldn't give it to Bobrovsky. If it's not Bobrovsky, it's Matthew Tkachuk, but I don't see how you don't give it to Bobrovsky. And for Vegas, as much as Aiden Hill might be kind of a popular pick on it, he didn't play the whole playoffs. I guess Bobrovsky didn't either, but Bobrovsky only didn't play the first 4 games of the first round and played everything since then. Aiden Hill's only played the last round and a bit, I guess. I don't know. He's still been fantastic, but I don't know. He hasn't played the whole playoffs, so I doubt. I would be shocked if he got it. I think Vegas would be Jack Eichel.
Well, he has played. Oh, there is a correction from last week. You said it was Game 6 he came in. He actually came in Game 3 of the Edmonton Oilers series. So he played a good portion of that series. So
Mm.
sure, he didn't play Series 1 against Winnipeg, but that was a quick series,
Yeah.
right? That was what, 4 games? That was a sweep, was it not?
No, it's 5.
Was it 5 games?
Winnipeg won Game 1 very
Oh,
convincingly as well.
oh, really? And then they just fell
Yeah.
apart.
Yep.
That's bizarre how that works out sometimes. But yeah, for me, I would say Aiden Hill has the spotlight for Vegas. I think and then just watching that save yesterday, like that was icing on the cake for me. And then the save that he made late in the third period with his pad there, when I think Florida were on a power play, but yeah,
You thinking of that breakaway?
yeah.
That was Sam Reinhart shorthanded.
Yeah, yes, that's what it was. That's correct. That's correct. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna go with Aiden Hill for Florida, and I'm gonna go with T'Chuk for or Aiden Hill for Vegas. Jesus, I'm backwards here. And then T'Chuk for Florida. Uh, T'Chuk has been absolutely clutch. Like how many overtime how many game-winning goals has he got? Like it's just ludicrous. And I'm not a Tkachuk fan from his days in Calgary, as you know. I actually loved it when Zach Cassian ragdolled him there a few years back. But I'll tell you right now, I'm not a big fan of him, but I'd be the biggest fan of him if he was wearing the orange and blue for sure,
Well,
100%.
of course, and anybody's like you're gonna hate him when he's on an opposing team, but you're gonna love him when he comes. Like Matthew Tkachuk is one of those guys that just like you hate him, right?
Yeah,
He's not on your team, you hate him,
yeah,
right? But if he's on your team, he's doing the same thing for your team that he was doing against your team. So you'd love that energy on your team. You'd love it.
yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree. Okay, so we're on to our third topic. We're only 10 minutes in, so we may get into those other 3 topics that I wanted to talk to you a little bit more detailed. We'll do that at the end here. I don't have any graphics for that, but we're going to quickly touch on those other topics. Um, let's go into the musical chairs of the league of what's going on, and there is a bit of almost a Calgary connection, if you will, because Brian Burke was in Calgary, he was in Toronto, he was in Pittsburgh. You look at Dubas in Toronto. You look at Tree Living, and now from Calgary is now Toronto. You look at Giordano. You look at like the list goes on. There's just that Calgary Toronto connection. Um, what are your thoughts on Tree Living going to Toronto?
Fine, I guess. Like I don't know, Brad Treliving. Like I think he was fine, general manager for Calgary. I don't think he was amazing. I don't think he was best GM in the league or even remotely. but I think he was fine. Like he did a decent job for Calgary. He had some really good seasons for them, allowed them to contend pretty well. But I don't know, he just never really created a team or was able to build a team that was like, I think, odds-on favorite or really was like a true contender. Like they had regular season success. Like they won the Western Conference 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and like looked really good. And everyone's like, oh yeah, Calgary, like they're gonna stampede through the playoffs or blah blah blah, and they lost in round one to Colorado like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. Like they lost. They lost to the Avs in 5. The Avs were the 8th seed. Colorado or Calgary was first seed in the West, and the Avs beat them in 5. And it was like, all right, well that was a surprise, but it was a surprise at the time. So it was the Avs' first time back in the playoffs and being terrible. But yeah, I don't know. I think Trey Lehman will be fine. Like I think it'll be fine in Toronto. It's Shanahan. I think is the one that's actually the puppet master there, and Trey Lehman's just kind of the mouthpiece more than anything. He's the puppet, and he's just gonna do what he's told. I think more or less. So I think that's what happened with Dubas.
Sammy, can I just get you to just move just a little bit to your right? You're kind of going out of frame a little bit. Yeah, yeah, that direction. A little bit more. There we go. Yeah, because it's almost cutting off your cheek now. Just the way it is. The way I lined up the cropping. It's not your camera. It's the way I lined up the cropping. Yeah, that's perfect there. Yeah, I I like him as a GM. I remember saying this last year, that I thought with the hand he was dealt with Tkachuk wanting out, with Johnny Gaudreau not re-signing, and that might have been his big mistake because he didn't get Johnny Gaudreau signed and he went for free. Um, but I remember saying this. I praised him last year. I'm like, oh wow, this guy really rebounded good from the circumstances he had. But in hindsight, you look at it, and Huberdeau didn't really have a good year, and Cadre wasn't very good either. So was it because they were surrounded by better talent in Florida and better talent in Colorado that those players came to Calgary and just no good? That's what I'm starting to think. Like, because Cadre was like his old Toronto self when he was back in Toronto. And yeah, I don't think by any stretch of the imagination he's a poor GM, but like you said, he's kind of a middle of the pack GM.
Yeah.
He's not definitely a top 3 GM, So now here's the question: is Dubas better or is Tree Living better for that club?
I don't know. Like I don't. It's hard to tell. You can't really say who's better and who's not for Toronto specifically because Trey Living hasn't done anything yet for Toronto. He hasn't done anything. He's been their GM for like 4 days. He hasn't done anything. So you can't say that we can't say that he's better for Toronto than Dubas was.
So no, I won't say Toronto. Just better as a GM as a whole.
Better overall. I don't know. Trey Living's been GM longer in the NHL. He's been a GM way longer than Dubas has. But I still don't know. I think both of them honestly are pretty much on par because neither of them have won anything at the NHL level. Neither of them have won anything. I think they're pretty much both about on par currently. Because until you have built, in my opinion, until you've built a team that's won a championship, like you're just kind of meh at that point. Like I don't know. Neither of them have won anything. They've both built good teams, or good teams that had good regular season success, and some teams that have underperformed. But I don't know. I think both of them are pretty much on par, in my opinion, because they haven't won anything. They haven't built a team that's won anything, and that's really contended.
And yes, you are correct. They built. If you're basing it off the regular season, then they're top 3 GMs.
Yeah, for sure.
But the regular season is just the prequel to the main event, right?
Yeah.
And I think it was Ron McLean mentioning how there's actually 3 seasons. There's your regular season, or hockey has three layers. Regular season, your first 3 rounds of the playoffs, and then the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can't dispute that because they're all 3 of them are different levels of beasts, right?
Absolutely.
So that'll be good. That'll be really good. Okay, Sam. Well, we're only 15 minutes into this, so we got another 15 minutes that we can talk about the topics that maybe I'll just have to add more topics in future ones because this was went kind of short and sweet for us today. Whereas last week we really got engaged in a lot of conversation. Um, Let me just get rid of that title there, and let's talk about your thoughts on Babcock going to Columbus. This sounds like it's a done deal. His contract with Toronto ends at the end of this month,
Hmm.
and it's sounding like it is a done deal. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's fine. Like I think Babcock's a good coach. I think he made some, did some stupid things and maybe played too many mind games with the Leafs and especially their rookies that are a couple years there. But I think overall, like he is a good coach. He's a really good coach, and that's proven. He's been on a team that's won champion. That's the Red Wings that have won a championship. Led them to another Stanley Cup final. Led them to many years of playoff success. Um, you look at internationally, Babcock is also highly decorated internationally as a coach. Like he's a good coach. He's a really good coach. And I think he'll be fine in Columbus. I think he'll be fine, but it'll like who knows? Like you never know how good a coach is going to fit in an organization until they've been there for a little while. Like everyone thought when Tortorella went to Vancouver, like, oh, this is a great addition. Tortorella's a great coach. Vancouver needs a new voice. Like Torts will be a great addition, and he was for the first half of the season. But then the team just like stopped listening to him after that point, and the team just fell off. And then then Torts was gone. Um, so who knows? I think he'll be fine. Like I think it's fine. Babcock's a good coach. I think Columbus will be fine with him. But again, who knows? We'll see. We just have to wait and see.
All that matters. I was just before we came on today. I was just starting to watch Bettman. Bettman's Stanley Cup presser that he does every year, his address to the media. Uh, what are your takes? What have you seen it?
I've seen some of it. I
Okay.
haven't seen the whole thing, but I've seen some of it and I've read the highlights.
Okay. So like I say, I'm gonna watch it all. Uh it, right now he's actually admitting he admitted on CBC that yes, Arizona is coming close to a conclusion, but they're still exploring that avenue of keeping that team in Arizona. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Like, I'm so done with this soap opera with Arizona. Like, and I hate to, it sucks for the fan base, but enough is enough.
Yeah, I know he said. I think it was yesterday that they're looking at somewhere else in the Phoenix area, which is weird because Phoenix is the one that heavily pressed against the Coyotes staying and going to Tempe, and were kind of the big catalyst for that falling apart. And so I think it's interesting that they're looking at, or at least the NHL will saying, "Oh, we're trying to find a home in the Phoenix area." I don't. That's not. I don't. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. The city of Phoenix obviously doesn't want them there because if they still wanted them there, then the Coyotes would have remained in Phoenix years ago, and so would it, and would still probably be called the Phoenix Coyotes. But they're not there. I don't think they're going back to Phoenix. If they're going anywhere, they're probably going to Mesa. But I don't know. I don't see how that happens either. So the NHL, like you said, like come hell or high water, they're going to do everything that they can probably to try and keep the Coyotes there. But I don't know. I think honestly, just move the bloody team to Salt Lake City. Honestly, like just move the team there.
Yeah. Um, yeah. When did they move from Phoenix to Glendale?
2015,
Oh, really? So it was okay. And
20.
then
I think the 2014, 2015 season was when they were changed to the Arizona Coyotes. I think.
okay, okay,
I think.
yeah, okay. Well, we'll see what happens there. And the other last topic we can talk about today, and then we'll wrap it up. But I was reading ESPN's news, and I was surprised to hear that Patrick Kane is going to be out 4 to 6 months for, and I've never heard of this before. This is a funny surgical process, but it's hip resurfacing.
Yeah,
I guess it's in the ball point or the joint point. But what are they going to like take a grinding disc and just get in there?
I don't know how it works. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, that sounds. Because if it is right where it like, do they have to kind of unhinge? Like, I want. Oh,
I have no
I
idea.
don't. I don't want that surgery. That
I have
doesn't
no
sound.
idea.
That doesn't sound comfortable, and maybe that explains why his production kind of tailed off as soon as he went as a Ranger.
Yeah, I
Um,
think we knew that he was injured or that he was dealing with something, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. 4 to 6 months. Like, does a team sign him still and give him, a contract in hopes that he returns and is productive for his last, what would that be, like 2 months of the regular season? Like, do they do that, or does nobody sign him and then he just waits until next year to get a contract, or does he just retire? Like, I don't know.
and
I
does
don't know.
does that affect the bottom dollar too?
No, that's what I mean as well. Yeah, like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I
Especially
wouldn't
with
be surprised if
oh,
he just goes, man, I'm done. But
especially with Bettman saying the cap is only going up $1 million. It's not going up to suggest. I think they were saying 3 million. They were estimating, but
yeah, the rumor for a while was that the cap was going to only go up 1 million this year. That was the thing that's been said for a long time. Was it'll go up. I think it went up 1 million last year, or maybe 2 million last year, but it was going to go up incrementally. They said so. I think it was 1 million last year, 1 million this year, and then next year it's supposed to. The rumors are it's supposed to jump up anywhere between 5 to 7 million.
yeah. And
So
that brings up the big Austin Matthews question. Now, I follow, I think it's called Oiler Nation on YouTube. They do a really good channel. They actually interview some of the players. Like they've interviewed Kane, and they constantly have Frank Saravelli on their show and that. Like
mm,
they're a well produced YouTube. They're not just like a channel like you and I do.
yeah,
They're the full works. They got like the producers. They got multiple guests and all that. But one thing that they brought up, and this is food for thought, and this is going to be something that this is going to be Tree Living's headache right here. When Matthews first came into the league, or just before he came into the league, he didn't choose to go back to juniors. He chose to get paid.
yeah.
He chose to get paid. He went overseas, played in Europe. He wanted to get paid. The way they were wording it is, he sounds like a guy that's more about the money than the team, and because basically they think he's going to shoot for the moon. They think he's going to want 15 million.
Why not?
Why not? But at the same time, you're never going to win a championship when you start doing that. I
Yeah,
remember
agreed.
I remember years ago when the Dallas Stars were the big contending team, and I remember Mike Badano saying he was willing to take a pay cut to keep the team together, and they kept that team together. And guess what? End up winning a championship out of it.
Yeah.
Uh, those are the sacrifices. I wonder when it comes down to the Connor McDavid Draisaitl thing, because Draisaitl definitely deserves a raise. Is Connor McDavid going to stay at 12 and a half? I wonder.
Well,
Um,
that's always been a thing for me. It's like those high end players like that, like McDavid or Draisaitl or Matthews or whoever. They sit there and they're like, well, we want to win, and oh, we need more depth guys, and we need this, we need that. And it's like, well, or I need a winner. I need a winner that I'm more comparable with. It's like, okay, you can get those things if you don't get paid $13 million a year. Take a pay cut and make, I don't know, sign a contract for 8 or whatever, and then that's another $5 million that you can use to get somebody else. Like it blows my mind that players are wanting this exorbitant amount of money, and then they'll complain or be frustrated that their team didn't do enough or that their team isn't good enough. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know, to me, like, yeah, you've worked your whole life to get to where you are, sure, but like, I don't know. To me, if I don't know. If I've never been an NHL player, so I don't know. But like for me, I would like to think that if I was making even just $1 million a year, that I'd be happy.
Well,
Or
true
a few
enough.
million.
True enough, but we also don't know. Well, we know they pay escrow. We know they pay income taxes. We know they.
No, for sure. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I've never been an NHL player,
Yeah,
so I don't know what the
but still,
circumstances are for them.
but still, they still make more money than you're going to make in your life. More money in probably a year than you're going to make in your lifetime. Okay, and that's
Yeah,
take home. That's going to be take home, or pretty damn close to it. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to make. Okay, let's just say Connor McDavid takes home 50% of his 12 and a half. That's still 6.25 million every year,
yep,
right?
yep,
So,
yep.
but we're not arguing about Connor McDavid. We don't know what he's going to do. He seems like a classy guy. He's always said that Leo's his ride or die. So I'm wondering if he would be. I could see him being the type that would actually say, you know what, he is that type, because from my understanding, I remember talking to a buddy when Chiarelli gave him that contract. Chiarelli was going to give him 15 million, and Connor was like, you know what? I think I'm good with 12 and a half. We got to build around me. So from and now that was what my buddy said. I haven't no confirmed sources on that, but my buddy told me that he heard that. And if that is the case, then we know Connor is a little bit of a loyal guy. But regardless, it's getting back to your point, Sam. I mean, yes, they do their whole life, they work out, they train, they do all that stuff, and they have no right to complain with the team that they have if they're taking this huge sum of money. They got to
Great.
understand it's a cap system. It's no longer the olden days where you can have the New York Rangers with $250 million salary, right? Like it doesn't work that way.
Yep. Yeah,
So
absolutely, absolutely.
they got to work within the parameters of what is it, 87? Maybe it's going to be 88, I think, next year. I don't know exactly where the cap is, but
Yeah, something like that.
somewhere in that area, right? So anyway, Sammy, I think we're going to wrap this up here, buddy.
Yeah.
We had to mumble on for a bunch of topics here. Kind of went through those topics quickly. So I think for next week I'm gonna do three main topics, and I'm gonna have some back burner topics in case we run out of stuff, because we kind of ran out quick. It was very short and sweet today. This
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
thing,
that
but we were
happens.
still able to talk about the other three. Enjoy the rest of the playoffs, guys. A reminder to you: we are live on YouTube. I'll usually do a thumbnail stating the time. It will vary because we both have different lives and different obligations. So it will vary. It won't not necessarily be at 9 a.m. every week. It may be a Sunday, it may be a Saturday. It just depends on stuff. But we are going to try to make it within a time frame for everyone to enjoy. But yes, we're live. We'll shoot your comments on this channel. We'd like to see you come on and participate. Again, it is new. This is our second episode. And those of you that follow me on Lubed, again, I'm going to remind you, I'm not going anywhere. I will be back in fall, or actually, I'll be doing an episode in a few weeks here after the trade deadline and the draft. But other than that, Sammy, send us on our way.
Also, do you mean the draft? Do you mean free agency in the draft, not the trade deadline? The trade deadline was like 2 months ago.
Yeah, yeah. It's 9 o'clock, Sam. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, man.
That's fine. That's all good.
Okay, send us on our way, Sammy, before I just shut this down.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. If you like what you saw, then hit subscribe, click the like button. Share with your friends. We're trying to grow this. We're trying to have some fun. We're just two buddies that enjoy talking about hockey. So if you enjoy talking about hockey as well, come along for the ride. We like to have some fun. So yeah.
Alrighty, guys. You enjoy your week. We'll see you next week.